So welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. As a preliminary matter, this is Patrick Pitney, Chairman. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Maurice DiPaolo.
Here.
Kristen Haas.
Present.
Keith Baldinger.
Present.
Holly Luke.
Present.
Kevin Anderson.
Present.
Justine Snyder.
Present.
Patrick Collins.
Present.
Joseph Morrow.
Present.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kevin Mizikar.
He's not joining us this
He's
evening.
not joining us today. Okay, thank you. Angela Snell.
Present.
Alexandria Martinez.
Present.
And anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. I'm sorry. Matt Salad.
Present.
Jeff McElravy. Jeff will be phoning in at some point, I'm sure. I wasn't sure if you joined us yet, Jeff. And Kevin Griffin.
Present.
This open meeting of the Police Municipal Campus Building Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Police and Municipal Campus Building Committee is convening by Google Meets as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer unless asked by the chairperson or the staff person. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each board member or staff member who has the lead role for the particular item or guest speaker associated with this item on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members first and then to staff members, inviting each by name to provide any comment or questions. I will then call upon the members to offer a motion and then for a second. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Remember that unless a document is being shared, your camera feed is triggered by your speaking or background noise. To mute and unmute your telephone, dial *6. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For others in attendance that are expected to present, please hold until your name is called to present. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Remember that unless a document is being shared, your camera feed is triggered by your speaking or background noise. To mute and unmute your telephone, dial *6. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. After your presentation, members of the board will be given the opportunity to ask questions. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. And with that, this meeting is now called to order. And first on the agenda, we have the minutes of July 13th. Any questions or comments on the minutes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mo?
I move we accept the minutes.
Very good. We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
Second. Kristen last.
Thank you, Kristen. We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the July 13th, 2020 meeting minutes. When I call your name, please respond. Mo DiPaolo?
Aye.
Kristen Loss,
Aye.
Keith Baldinger,
Aye.
Holly Luke,
Aye.
Kevin Anderson,
Aye.
Justine Snyder,
Aye.
Patrick Collins.
Abstain due to my absence.
Very good, Patrick. And Joe Morrow.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Thank you, everybody. Next on the agenda, we will continue with our presentation of the Police Station, Town Hall, and Senior Center programming. And Kevin, since I know I saw you here, who's taking the lead on this? Maybe you can help me out. Kevin Griffin?
I believe that the architect's taking the lead on this presentation.
Okay, very good. Who do we have, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we have Matt. I think that
Hey, Matt.
I think Jeff McLavy joined because I saw a phone call enter the meeting.
Okay, I did not see that as I was reading. Jeff, are you there?
There's a 2 508 numbers in here, so I just figured one of them is him, but maybe
Yeah, I
not.
see it now. No, I don't. I didn't hear him respond. He may be on mute. But Matt, do you want to jump in here?
Yes. Thank you. Let me just share my screen. Let me know when you have it up.
I have it.
Great.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us again as we continue our discussion on the conceptual design efforts to date on the Police Station and Municipal Campus project. Today, we're going to be looking a little bit further at some of the conceptual designs for the police station and the town hall with a focus on the police station. The primary focus today is going to be on the exterior elevations and what these buildings are actually going to start to look like. Jeff had mentioned at our last presentation, we're taking our best guess at how we feel that these are going to best fit within the context of the town of Shrewsbury. And we really rely on you folks to make sure that we're guiding these projects in the right direction, to make sure that we're really capturing the essence of what your municipal character should really feel like. So we're going to start with the police station. Again, just a quick overview of the master plan and the police station itself, with its main entry here off to the east of the campus, facing Town Hall, and the police functions off to the rear. One thing I will note, we're not presenting anything on the senior center tonight, but we did have a conversation earlier this afternoon with Mo and Holly to discuss some changes that we might be under consideration for the senior center that will affect potentially this portion of the master plan. And some of those issues are around removing the drop-off area here increases potentially the travel distance for some of the seniors when they're being dropped off or parking, and getting to some of the main hall spaces and things like that. So we're going to be looking at one, revisioning sort of this entry sequence and making it more inviting and giving more of a sense of arrival to the building, but also looking a little bit further in how this arrival sequence is achieved throughout the building. So hopefully we'll have something at the next presentation to go over that, but nothing else to report on the senior center proper. We've also been discussing with the town offices some other potential options that we might be exploring. Today, we're going to have just a brief perspective view showing the addition and really its massing and how that sort of fits in with the rest of the building. And then the police station itself, we have elevations and a perspective view. If I can get everything to work right, I might be able to get the 3D model up. So if there's anything else we want to look at, we'll be able to do that as well. Just as a refresher of the floor plan, this hasn't changed with the exception to the clerk's office. If you recall, this portion of the clerk's office to the east is where the record storage room was. As we developed the elevations, this portion of the facade really wanted to be a bit more open and have windows. So it didn't really make sense for the record storage to take advantage of that. So we relocated the record storage room to this portion here, and then taken the work and break area that was in this location, moved it to the central portion of the space, and then moved the open office function along this elevation here so they could take advantage of those views in natural light. As we enter the building, the public function up front, community training room off to the side here. Oops, sorry. Centrally located again is the dispatch and emergency communications center. The patrol functions are off of this portion of the building, facing the street and the employee parking area. And then off to the north, we have our facility garages, locker rooms, fitness, and then the Sally Port prisoner processing and evidence wing of the building. And again, on the upper level, along this main spine that runs north to south, we have our facility break area, the investigative detective bureau here, and the administrative offices located above the clerk's office. So this is a preliminary elevation looking at the main entry. The concept here was really to sort of take some of the architectural cues from the existing town hall, and then sort of add a little bit of a little more openness and a little bit more of a modern aesthetic to it. So the idea is sort of taking what a modern police facility would look aesthetically, and then sort of tie that back to the character of the campus. So keeping the same sort of roof line that you currently have over the main entry of the town hall, and then flanking that with two gables to the north and south. We would go predominantly with a brick, something similar within the character of the town hall, so that they'd sort of have a reference back to each other. And then the town hall currently has sort of an elevated concrete foundation water table. We would sort of reference that, but we would do something more like a stone water table, something that would really ground the building and give it some mass. You'll notice that it steps up away from the front entry, and that the windows step up along with that. We had initially had this sort of lower water table around the perimeter of the building in a larger fenestration. But in working with the department, there was an issue concerned with security and having all that low glass with open office space and things like that, and it becoming a target from somebody that was wishing to do somebody in the department harm. So we raised that stone base up, and so that the windows would be more eye level and above, more clear story, to bring in that natural light, but allow security and protection to the officers and staff beyond. One of the preferred materials in sort of referencing back to the town hall and in police station design is brick, predominantly because it's low maintenance. It's something that is going to last a long time, but it's also intrinsically ballistic resistant. So by having the facade out of brick, you're also protecting the inhabitants of the facility as well. These larger windows here and here, this is out to the training room. And then this is, again, that clerk's office and up to the administration area in the break room. So this is where I was talking about the need to sort of relocate that clerk's, the record storage room, and allowing that to be, that natural light and those views to be utilized by the clerk's office. And we do have a modest canopy over the front entry to give some protection during inclement weather. The south elevation, we sort of continue that same vocabulary around the building. These horizontal lines here, we're thinking of sort of breaking up that brick mass with a header course that would run continuous throughout the building. We have some flat roofs that that are behind some of these gable ends, and we would propose something like a precast cap at the top of these walls. The parapet would be high enough that we wouldn't need any handrails or any fall protection or anything like that on the roof. And we would screen any mechanical equipment so that you wouldn't be able to see any mechanical equipment from the ground level. And if we wanted to go with solar panels on the roof, a lot of towns don't really want to see the solar panels on the roof either. So they'd be able to be tucked behind these parapet walls, receive the maximum amount of daylight, but not be visible to the public view. This is the stair tower, the egress stair tower from the upper level. This is the west elevation, so this is along the garages. So the garages are here. These are the garage doors for the Sallyport Beyond. And these are some of the patrol functions. So again, raising those windows up for protection, but continuing this vocabulary around the building itself. And finally, the north elevation, again, we have that larger vertical window system that would be at the stair tower to the north. This area here is the fitness area. We've brought the water table down and increased the size of the windows in this location. We're sort of in the secure site portion of the facility, and this is sort of tucked back into the north. And because we're going to get a lot less natural light here, we sort of wanted to maximize the amount of glazing we had to get more natural light into that fitness area. And then this larger window here, this is out into the break area on the second floor. So this is sort of this is a perspective of the front entry, so you can sort of see how it fits into the landscape. One thing that we're not showing here is out in the front, to again add another layer of protection to the building in case somebody wanted to take a vehicle and take a swing at the building here. We would have bollards and probably some planter walls that would provide any protection there, but also incorporate some passive landscaping protections into the building itself as well. And then we just want to give a brief overview on the town offices. Again, so you can sort of see how some of the character of the front entry of the town hall sort of brings its way over into the police station. Again, the floor plan, the main point of reference is the addition that we're showing here for the school department. And this is kind of what we're starting to think of tying that addition in, just sort of continuing this roof line around, carrying around the brick, and just really trying to keep that massing so it's consistent with the wing. And what this would also set up for is if there was ever a need for future expansion again down the road, it would be relatively easy to sort of replicate this to the other side of the facility itself. So really the idea here is creating a seamless transition between the existing and what we would propose. You get just sort of a glimpse of a monitor roof here. So at that central reception area in the school department, we would sort of have that same monitor roof that's out in front of the Selco offices to bring some natural light into some of those deeper spaces within the building. But it's really about having this addition not really stand out as something different, but really have it tie into the existing building. So pretty brief. There's not a ton to talk about here as far as presentation-wise, but I think we really want to open up the discussion and really get your feedback and your first impressions on the direction that we've taken so far into the massing of these buildings and some of the material palette and fenestration.
Matt, Kevin Anderson here. If you have a moment.
Sure.
So I'm just looking at the front of the police station as well as the front of the town hall. They look quite different as far as one looks more modern, the police station, and the town hall looks more historic. Were we trying to match them to kind of look more alike, whether it's more historic or more modern? I guess I don't know if that's the proper way of describing it.
Sure. Yeah. No.
For example, like the cover over the front door of the police station kind of gives it this modern look.
Right.
At the
Yeah,
town hall, it doesn't have that.
right. So we wouldn't see any reason why we would need to replicate sort of a building in the 1970s or the architecture of it, but we wanted to sort of, in the scale and proportions of the building and the roof lines, have something that references back to the town hall without actually replicating it. So this would be a more modern interpretation of what that architecture would be. So they're not meant to look identical. They're meant to have similar characteristics.
Okay, makes sense. I just didn't know what we were going for. Okay.
Anybody else out there? Anybody have questions or comments at this point?
Pat, Mo DiPaolo.
Go ahead, Mo.
Hi, Matt. Big building. I have a question. Right now, what is the total height of that building? And the only reason I ask is because I'm wondering if we're subject to the same zoning as everybody else, because it looks high.
Right. So the main driver for height in a police station is going to be the floor to floor. There's a lot more equipment in the ceiling space between the first and second floor than you would have in a typical construction. And because of that, our floor to floor heights typically, as a rule of thumb, start out at 14 feet. Maybe in the town, I think the town hall is something like 11'6" floor to floor. And that's just because there's less equipment, there's less electrical and data and things like that are running through those spaces. Because of that, the building gets taller. So,
Right.
I think right now to the peak we're in I think it's like 38 feet or so. It's taller than the town hall is to the line. I think the cupola, the top of the cupola, is taller than what the police station is proposed to be. As far as the zoning requirements, I don't have an answer for you at this moment.
I can help with the zoning. So the town is exempt from zoning if we get a special permit.
Okay.
So we did that with the library. We went to town meeting with an article for the library use, and then the dimensional requirements are waived. We just have to go to the planning board for site plan approval.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kristen.
Pat,
Yes, Mo.
could I ask another question
Sure thing.
or make a comment?
Yeah.
Matt, where are the mechanicals? Where's the AC and all that?
Sure. Let me go to the site plan. So we have basically right here.
Yeah.
Realize now I should have put a roof plan in, but right here we have flat roofs that are surrounded by those gable ends, and that's where we would have most of our rooftop equipment. From the second floor, second level mechanical space, we do have access onto that roof space.
Okay. Can I ask
Please.
one more question?
Sure
Ask
thing.
one more question?
Yep.
Matt, can you go back to the east elevation? The main, I might be asking, yeah, okay. I'm going to ask the question, mixed statement. That building is pretty big. It looks like a lot of mass. Did you give, and maybe it's not practical, you can't do it, but did you give any consideration to making the roofs on either side of the main entrance flat to cut the mass down a little bit? Might be a reason you did it that way. I was just wondering.
No, we can look at that.
So
I don't know what anybody else thinks. It's just my opinion. It looks big, and I understand why the roofs are big because the building's big, but I don't know if anybody else has the same thought.
So Mo, I'll jump in here because I had, when I first saw the rendering, I had the exact same thought. I think, I don't think, at least in my opinion anyway, that as part of this campus, my fear is that the police station will dominate the campus. And I'm not sure that that's the look that we really want to go for. So if there's any way, I think, to minimize that, and whether it's through the flat roofs or whatever, I think aesthetically it would be more pleasing to the whole campus. Any other thoughts on that?
Pat,
Well, I guess just one other one, Pat. Matt, is that area underneath those pitched roofs for storage? I don't want to kill the storage by doing it, by making it a flat roof.
No. We might have some mechanical equipment up there, depending on how everything lays out. We don't need them for storage, and we can make the rest of the building systems work without them.
Matt, Kevin Anderson here. My only question about flat roof is, should we be concerned about snow and snow piling up on the roof and leaks? Just, I think the snow may be able to melt better off a roof with some pitch to it.
Yes and no. The systems that we would detail with this are going to be able to handle the snow load and we'll be able to deal with any of those issues. So I wouldn't be concerned about leaks with the new building, especially with the way that thermal envelopes are required to be designed nowadays. It's not like it was 40 years ago where you had an old flat asphalt ballasted roof and 5 years after it was put on, it was leaking like a sieve. So I wouldn't be as concerned about that. With pitched roofs, depending on the material we use, if we went with like a metal roof or a slate roof or something like that, the concern there with the snow is it's sheeting off and causing issues. So we would be putting snow fences or rails and snow guards up there that would actually retain all that snow and ice on the roof anyway. And because of the enhanced structural requirements for a police station, the snow load itself, the weight of it isn't going to be a problem either, because it's going to be over-designed of what a normal municipal building would be anyway.
Even would accumulate that snow that we had a few years back?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Keith Baldinger.
Please, Keith.
I will say from a maintenance perspective, at least in my experience, we feel that the slope roofs are much better for, leaks and roof issues. Floral Street School is a perfect example of that. That building is all pitched roof, and we have very few issues leak-wise with the roof, whereas Sherwood is a building that's 7 years old and it's flat roofs, and we have issues already. So from my perspective, I prefer the sloped roofs, but then again, I do understand your concerns about the mass and the size of the building. But it's my 2 cents.
We can, if that's the case, I mean, we can play with the massing of those roofs. We can still keep it sloped, but still sort of step it and play with the pitch on that to try to bring that mass down. There's other ways that we can address this without going to a totally flat roof.
This is Kristen Leffler.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Just for future building committee meeting, perhaps we could have a layout that could pan from the police station to the town hall, so we could kind of see the scale comparison. It's a little bit difficult when we're looking at the police station on one slide and then the town hall on another slide. So perhaps it is huge compared to what we think it is, or maybe it's not. I would rather see a kind of a better comparison, perhaps a panning or seeing them in the same view or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that would be helpful. It's just hard to tell. I mean, on initial view, it just looks like it's, again, I don't want to take over the whole campus, because not to minimize the department, certainly it's critical, but it is, it's one department, where in the other building we have the rest of the town, essentially.
Mr. Pitney, could I just ask if there's been consideration or planning already that we're not seeing relative to exterior landscaping that might give a little bit different perspective around the massing issue?
Matt, any comment?
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. That would be sort of part of the design as we start putting in plantings in planter walls, sitting walls, things like that. They'll also bring that mass down, especially as we sort of move away from the building. So I think it's a little bit of both. It's playing with that and the mass of the building, and the two of those working together is what will achieve what you're looking for.
Sure. There may be also a perspective thing where we're used to what we're seeing now on the campus, which certainly isn't adequate for our needs at this time. And it just may be a matter of getting used to the size and scope of this new building.
Sure.
Pat, Kevin Griffin.
Sure, Kevin.
So on the slope roofs, we see a lot of communities, they would like to go with slope roofs. Sometimes they don't necessarily, they can't afford it. They are the best solution for keeping snow, water, elements out of a building. They're definitely the preferred method, as Keith was saying before. And I know what Matt's saying. I mean, the roof membranes that they're using nowadays are the same membranes that are used to protect ponds in some cases, so they shouldn't leak, but unfortunately, flat roofs have more tendency to have problems than slope roofs. Slope roofs, even if it has a slight leak, it tends to continuously sheet off the building. So just wanted to add that 2 cents, that's all.
Sure. I think we understand. I mean, I'm starting to understand that. I'm just wondering if there's any way, to Mo's point and some of the other comments, if there's kind of a middle ground where possibly we can minimize the mass that is apparent that we're seeing now. That may all be minimized with the landscaping or maybe going with a lower pitch. I'm not sure. I'm not an architect nor an engineer, nor do I play one on TV. But if there's just something, to minimize that.
I think when you see it in retrospect of the town hall, maybe with instead of having just a white bottom that's completely plain, and you see some elevations of a car parked out front and stuff like that, give probably better definition to the mass.
Sure.
Because right now, the building just seems massive because we're looking at it basically as a white background.
Right. No, I understand that. That's a fair point. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, just real quick, Pat, Joe Morrow.
Sure, Joe.
So on the elevation portion, I don't think the main portion of the building that's 2 stories is, it does look big from the drawing, but I don't think it'll be as bad as you think. My 2 points I saw on the back portion where there is no space on the second floor, that's going to be all empty attic space. That looked like it was significantly big, which may add to the dimension of that building. So if there could be some way that profile gets lowered, it might help. The other concern I had was the flat portion of that is going to be in between the 2 pitched sections, Matt. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what you don't see here is so that flat roof portion is sort of all through here behind this gable, which is over the prisoner area. And we do a gable over the prisoner processing area because it'll probably have a dedicated air handler that we can house in here and keep off the roof. But this is the roof beyond over like traffic and patrol. And from there to here is all. So it's not like in a bathtub, it would all sort of pitch to here. Actually, if I could pull it up, I did get the model open.
Okay, that makes sense. But I think you were just talking about putting a mansard in there between to block the mechanicals.
Can you see the model? Can you see the model?
Yeah, I can. It's tough to see, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that makes more sense. That's a good view right there. Okay. I think that's answered my question.
So you can sort of start to see it in context from here.
Yeah, that's a better view of the dimension of the roof and the flat portions and everything. So that makes more sense.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? This is a much better look. It gives much better perspective.
Pat Motapolo.
No.
Matt, I may be getting ahead of us, but how green are we looking to make this building? Are we going to do solar on the roof?
So part of the latest edition of the code requires us to make roofs solar ready. So we will have panel boards dedicated for future solar. We'll have conduit, weather heads, piping. So we'll have all the infrastructure. Typically, we don't bid that as part of the construction project because it's so much cheaper to get it from a third-party vendor through the GC as a filed sub-bid under the electrical contract. We end up seeing 2 to 3 times higher prices. So we anticipate that it will have solar in the future, but that will be sort of at the town's discretion. As far as the rest of the sort of sustainability of the building itself, yeah, that's down the road. There's going to be a number of sort of life cycle cost analyses that we're going to be doing to let you guys know the systems we're looking at, and that's going to come down to everything from envelope, mechanical system, the types of systems we're going to be using, and how that's going to cost upfront versus the 20, 30, 50 years with their payback cycles. So there's a lot of data that's going to have to come in front of this committee before those decisions are made, but it'll be an ongoing conversation throughout the process.
Patrick, Keith Baldinger.
Sure, Keith.
Mo, just for reference, Beal School is being built the same way, solar ready. All that stuff is in place, but it's not part of the actual project.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? There being none. Anything else, Matt, on the police station that you'd like to add?
No, that pretty much covers it. Just at first glance, so I think as the days go on, just put questions and comments together and send them out so we can respond and adjust. But I think we have stations that we need to start looking at to work on that massing a little bit more, which is great, and we'll look to have that for the next committee meeting along with some more detail on the senior center.
Very good. Can we move over to the town hall then? Are there any questions or comments? You talked a little bit about how it would look. Any questions around that from the committee?
This is Kristen Last.
Sure, Kristen.
I just want to note to the committee that last week, Kevin Mizikar and I had a conversation with the architect and CMS just regarding the other options of perhaps moving the addition to the east side of the building or on top of the rear wing where it currently exists now. So we can certainly discuss what our thoughts are related to the addition on the west wing, but we received some really valuable feedback from Michael Hale, who's been with the town since 1988. He just retired on Friday, actually. He had some thoughts and comments as it related to the Selco wing and just some other areas. So I believe at the next building committee meeting, we may be seeing some more information related to a potential to go up the second story in the rear or the east side. So just wanted to bring that to the building committee's attention this evening. As you know, we've always heard, or a lot of us have heard, well, we thought we could always go up the second story when that addition was built in the 1990s, and why can't we, and things like that. So we had a very productive conversation with Tecton and CMS related to that last week.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. We'll look forward to that. Interesting idea. Anything else around?
Pat?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mo.
Mo again. I'm sorry, Kristen, I had to walk out of the room for a minute, so maybe we talked about this. But just so you know, a member of the garden club contacted me about the fate of the fragrance garden. And I told her that I thought if the garden was removed, that we would work to find a suitable place. But she did ask why the addition couldn't go on the other side, and I'm sorry I stepped out, so I may have missed the conversation on that.
No, I can repeat. So last week, Kevin Nizikar and I had a conversation with CMS and Tecton after conferring with Michael Hale about the general history of the building and other locations. And they're actually going to be looking at the potential for, if we don't go with an addition on the west side of the building, what are the possibilities of putting it on the east side of the building or going up a story at the rear addition? So we are investigating that further based upon several comments that we've received from several parties.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess I have a question regarding just the structure in general. When I look at it, except for the main part of the building, the original, the roofs on that do appear to be flat and then sloped at the edges of it. Could you just comment on that in terms of load and how that differs from the police building?
As far as the new design and what the difference is and why we didn't do that with the police station?
Sure. Yes.
I think we didn't do it with the police station because we were trying to maximize some of the available height in the attic spaces for ductwork and things like that. And I think we discussed earlier on trying to keep as many pitched roofs as we can. Obviously, we can't do the whole thing out of pitched roofs because of its mass on the site plan. But we certainly could explore this sort of mansard roof concept with a combination flat and sloped roofs as well, which would definitely bring that mass down.
I was just curious, as you know, in terms of, because with the addition, I assume that you wanted to match what's already existing on Town Hall, but it was just kind of a, trying to get the whole campus, aesthetically a little, more in line type of thing.
Yeah.
That's all. It was more of a comment than a question.
Yep.
I guess. Anything else? Any other questions from the committee? Anybody from the staff or Tecton or CMS have any comments? I am not hearing much. So, Matt, anything else to present, or was that it for this evening?
That's it for this evening.
Okay. So, what are your needs in terms of a meeting going forward?
We'd like to keep the schedule, the aggressive schedule that we've had going for the moment. We still have a lot to go through with any changes to the town hall, modifications to the massing of the police station, and changes to the COA. So we have a lot of work to do on our end to produce things that haven't been presented yet. So I'd like to keep the schedule as we have now if everybody's available and have those for hopefully next week.
Okay. With that, I'm going to ask Alexandria, where did we come in with our poll on a recurring meeting schedule?
So Monday at 4:30 seemed to work best for the majority of people.
Okay. So do we just want to set that as a regular meeting?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah. We can. Well, do you know what? I'll go over. Do you know what? Why don't we take a vote on it? And I'll just ask Mo. You're a yes for 4:30 Monday at 4:30.
Yes.
Kristen.
Not for next Monday. I am on vacation, but all other Mondays at 4:30 I'm available, but please
Okay.
feel free to move forward without me.
So essentially a yes on that. Thank you. Keith?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes, that's fine.
Justine? Justine, are you there? Sounds like she's having technical issues. Patrick?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yeah, I'm good.
And I'm a yes as well. So with that, it looks like we've got everybody on board. So, Alexandria, why don't we just keep Monday at 4:30 as our regular meeting schedule, and we'll meet weekly. Matt, how many more weeks do you think in a row do we need at this point?
Oh, two or three.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we plan?
We're coming down. We're coming down to the wire to where we're going to be getting our estimate together, and then it's going to be budget.
Okay. Why don't we plan on the next 3 Mondays then, and we'll go from there. Is that good with everybody?
Yep.
I can send out a calendar invite too.
Okay, that'd be great, Alex. So you'll do all the invites and things like that. Okay, great. Anything else from anybody? Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn this evening's meeting. I'm going to call the roll. Mo?
Yes.
Kristen?
Aye.
Keith?
Aye.
Holly?
Aye.
Kevin?
Yes.
Justine? Not hearing from Justine. I see her on there, but Patrick?
Aye.
And Joseph?
Yes.
And I am an I as well. So we'll put that at 8-0 to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Aye.
There.
Thank you.